Shawn Porter says Errol Spence has a huge advantage over Terence Bud Crawford. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, the OG of the welterweight division, Shawn Showtime Porter, recently put out some info, gave an interview. He said some things about the upcoming fight between Terence Bud Crawfords and Errol the Truth Spence Jr.
Go to ESJ.com, thetruth.com, and go buy that iPad, man. We're going to roll him up and smoke him in Vegas.
I just wanted to give my deuce on what Showtime had to say.
I'm going to kill him! I'm going to kill him!
Alright, so Shawn Porter says Errol Spence has a big advantage over Terence Crawford when it comes to their upcoming fight. Now, what are the advantages that Errol Spence holds over Terence Crawford? I think everybody feels like he definitely has a size advantage. You know what? Let me start with what advantages does Terence Crawford have when it comes to this fight? And then we'll go into the Errol Spence advantages.
My mind's telling me no, but that crack, y'all, that crack keeps telling me yes, gotta go.
I think Terence Crawford has one advantage over Errol the Truth Spence Jr. And I really don't think a lot of people like to talk about his one advantage because it is a huge advantage and it could actually win him the fight if he goes down the road of this advantage. Now, will he? I doubt it because I didn't see it in the David Avanesyan fight and I didn't see it in the Shawn Porter fight. So I'm not even sure if that's what he's working on. But the one thing I feel like as a fan of boxing, as someone who works out a lot with boxing, as someone who studies boxing, a lot of people say that they study boxing, but, we all say that, I've never been in a ring professionally or amateur, but I have studied the sport. So, when it comes to what Terence Crawford brings to the ring, or the one advantage I feel like he never really takes advantage of is his speed, his natural ability to be quicker than most of his opponents.
Rip me out my boxers, suck my dick and balls too.
What? I don't ever really see Terence Crawford taking advantage of that. Now, speed comes in many forms. You can have very fast hands. You can be one of those guys who, there's an opponent that's actually better than you on paper, but can't keep up with your hand speed, and you end up beating that guy. Some people have great movement. They have speed of movement, like Vasil Lomachenko, and Devin Haney not being able to keep up with his speed of movement. Some people have foot speed, i.e. Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao's foot movement is what won him a lot of his fights, along with his very, very fast hands, and his ability to generate great power through his huge calf muscles and legs, so speed can come in many forms. Actually, there's another one that nobody ever talks about, and that is the ability to think very quickly. Think on your feet.
Do you speak English?
The ability to think on your feet can actually outweigh all those other speed categories, because if I can think quicker than you, I can beat you. If I can outthink you, there's no way you should be able to beat me. It shouldn't matter if you have more strength, if you have more speed, if you have more boxing ability. If I can outthink you, you can't keep up with me. So, the ability to think quickly is one thing that I think nobody ever really talks about when it comes to boxing, because we look at boxers, the majority of us look at boxers as just brutes. They just want to beat everything up. They don't look at these people as having to think their way through a fight and having to have the ability to outmaneuver or out game plan your opponent.
Well, this is what happened. I call a spade a spade. I done time. So when I was locked away, when I came out, you know, I was still off a little while. Instantly under my contract was with Herrera, so he was a southpaw. So the first guy that started sparring was a southpaw. He was giving me, he was giving me good work, real good work, and he pushed me. He's a hell of a fighter.
Now, those are the advantages for Terence Crawford. I think Crawford has the speed advantages in droves, and I hope that he tries to take advantage of that, because I do feel like that's going to be what could possibly win him the fight. Now, when it comes to what Shawn Porter was talking about and Errol Spence Jr.'s advantage over Terence Crawford, I think we all know, once again, that he has the size advantage over Terence Crawford, and that size comes with a lot of power. He's broken down a lot of good fighters and made them look very simple. Now, what Shawn Porter feels like is that Errol Spence has the pressure. He's able to pressure his opponent. And I've spoken in the past that Spence has mummy feet, or he moves with a very dead man type of movement. And I think that anybody who realizes that and tries to take advantage of that with speed could possibly beat Errol Spence.
I'm not going to kill you, but I hope you learned a valuable lesson. Give me your damn watch. Yes, sir.
He's probably one of the greatest pressure fighters out there, and it's based off the fact that he knows how to use a jab to his advantage. The only other person I've ever seen use their jab this well, I'd say two people, was Lennox Lewis. Now, he might have been the king of the jab, because that's basically what he beat Mike Tyson with. He just kept Tyson away from him with the jab. And we all know that Tyson was a very quick guy on his feet when he was at his best.
Oh, he'll feel every punch tomorrow.
Oh, and there's a nice right uppercut. And then Tyson counters himself. Now it's changing ball.
With that real crazy herky-jerky style of his and throwing those combos, you know, that's how he beat a lot of fighters, by overwhelming them. And you could say the same thing about Terence Crawford, that he overwhelms his opponent. Now, he don't have that herky-jerky style like Mike Tyson had, but he definitely throws combinations, and those combinations are normally what overwhelms his opponent. Go back and watch the David Avanesyan fight. And when it comes to pressure, if you watch the Ugas fight, you'll see how Errol Spence used his jab and stand on top of Ordanius Ugas and just pounding him with that jab all night, end up messing his eye sockets up real bad. That's what won him the fight. And, you know, Lennox Lewis did that same thing. And as well, the second person I want to mention is Klitschko. You know, Vladimir Klitschko. I used to love watching the Klitschko brothers, because I felt like they were the second coming of the jab. You know, when boxing coaches say everything works off the jab, those guys were the epitome, the Klitschkos and Lennox Lewis, of working off the jab. And in the new generation, it's now Errol Spence. He is the epitome of working everything off the jab. And his pressure fighting is what Shawn Porter says he feels like it's going to beat Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford's never been pressured, and definitely never been pressured by a bigger, stronger fighter.
All that shit you saying, that shit go out the window when you go to prison. You know, that's all I'm saying. Motherfuckers that you thought was intelligent is now braiding hair and shit. Are you fucking kidding me?
There is something else that Shawn Porter mentioned, but I've already mentioned it. It's the jab. Nobody really looks at Errol Spence as like the greatest jabber in the world, but he might be the best jabber in the world. Now that Lennox Lewis is out of the game, the Klitschko's are out of the game, this man knows how to work a boxing ring. And the mummy foot, the dead foot that he does, is why he's so good at working the jab, because he moves at a pace to where he can pump that jab out consistently for 12 rounds. And you've never seen Terence Crawford have to deal with somebody pumping a jab at him with power for 12 rounds. A lot of people say that when a fighter comes out and hits you with that first jab, it's almost shocking, because most fighters don't throw their jab with power. And if a guy's coming out and throwing power behind his jab, it's very shocking to a lot of fighters, because they're not prepared for that. They have no way of defending that, you know, because the jab is the longest punch, the jab is the straightest punch, the jab is coming straight at you. And if you're throwing that consistently all night long, it's hard for a lot of fighters to try to defend that off, because there's really no way of defending off the jab, you know, especially when it's coming straight at you. Now, you can throw angles in there and all that, but you run the risk of tiring yourself out by trying to stay away from the jab. The only defense for a straight jab is another straight jab. I know everybody's going to say, well, you counter it with this punch because my coach told me to. Well, you know, tell your coach.
Great. Now I got to go do some killing.
Why hasn't all these other boxing coaches beaten Errol Spence up until this point? Why did the greatest fighter in the world at one time, Mike Tyson, go down to a jabber? You know, because, and he had a great coach at that time too, you know, so it's not always about what the coach says. If I can out-thank you once again, I can out-game plan you, you can't beat me. And it's going to be hard for Terence Crawford to pull this off. I'm not saying he can't do it, but if Errol Spence does everything he's supposed to do and that he's always done, 90% of the time he's going to walk out of there with a victory.
But it fucked up everything. Marriages.
At first, your bitch used to just see the niggas at work, you, and that's it, and come home. That's all she had to look at. Now she got about 30,000 niggas to look at for when you don't act right. And she hypnotized by all the other bitches. The bitches getting shit on Instagram that she ain't getting. So all that time you didn't put in but no money, it fucked up everything. It fucked up you too. All you had to look at was your side bitches, your bitches at work, your bitch at home, and come back. Couple side bitches from the other side of town. Now you hypnotized. You look at your bitch and you see 1,000 bitches look better. You looking way better than your bitch. Look over at your bitch, you like, it made us whole.
Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. That like button for me. Share, subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms. That Facebook, that Instagram, that YouTube, that Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there. If you want to collabo, feature a product or your channel on my channel, hit my Gmail, because it is a flock of cards at gmail.com. And we are live.
It's Louis Keys off in this bitch, you know what's on. Big cheese in my pocket, that's provolone. Chip on my shoulder bone, and I'm blowing strong. Step back, all your nose is gone. No bill, still I'm rolling on. I'm doing about 100. How I kick it, you would think I punt it. And plus I'm way past blunted. You niggas is out of order. Got a bitch named Fergie finna meet me about a butter with a 20-watt order. But that's another story. It really ain't important. You really can't afford it. So I'ma dumb it down. Keep it on the surface, but I will holla at you if you wanna make a purchase. I got niggas selling movies, I got bitches selling purses, and chicks off in school studying to be nurses. I'm something that you rarely see, like a cranberry tree. Money, will you marry me? Knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga. Cause I hustle, 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 cause I hustle for real. You can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga. Cause I hustle, 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 cause I hustle for real, for real. Nigga, listen here. One look at the Ninja Turtle bud and your eyelids disappear. Mixed breed out of your league. Take a puff, now you can't breathe. Roll up my sleeves, roll up my weed, roll up and leave. As quick as I came, I be getting it, man. Even if you're hot, bet I'm more warm. That money's on my mind like a unicorn horn. You a player, then you get your uniform torn. Dress your bitch up like a waitress, uniform porn. And nigga, you been forewarned. But here's another caution, motherfucker, I'm house. You can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga, you can't knock a nigga. Cause I hustle, 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 cause I hustle for real.